Alright, so this is part two to where we left off on the milligrams and micrograms. So I'm just going to work through this problem. This one's actually with a drug now. So we have the nurse is to give Synthroid at 0.120 milligrams. The drug is dispensed in micrograms. How many micrograms should the nurse give to the client? So the doctor basically has ordered this 0.120 milligrams, and he's saying give that to the client. Well, the pharmacy or wherever we're getting the drug is giving it to you in a concentrated dose that's in micrograms. So we have to convert it from this micrograms to milligrams. So we're going to go from micrograms to milligrams. Alright, so basically we just set up our dimensional analysis ratio here. I can do 0.120 milligrams times, I know that for every 1 milligram I have 1,000 micrograms, and that's going to equal blank. My milligrams cancel out here, left with micrograms, so that's going to equal blank micrograms. Easy day, right? We just grab our calculator now. 0.12 times 1,000 equals 120. So we've got 120 micrograms. I could have just as easily have done this as 1,000 over 1,000 micrograms over 1 milligram times 0.120 milligrams. They still cancel out, and I'm left with micrograms. If you keep wondering how this non-fraction number is canceling out with this denominator position over here, the reason is because really this is assumed that it's over 1. So it's in the numerator position, this is the denominator position, and that's how they cancel out to equal blank micrograms, right? And it's 120. So it works exactly the same way. So let's move on to the next problem. In this problem right here, we've actually got milligrams to milliliters. So doc says give the patient 75 milligrams in an intramuscular injection every 4 hours for pain. All right. Well, it comes in 100 milligram for every 1 milliliter single dose vial for injection. So basically, the doctor is giving you your given. So I've got 75 milligrams, and I'm going to give that in an injection. So I need to eventually end up with milliliters. So that's what I'm looking to get to. All right, so I have my 75 milligrams. Here's my conversion factor. So I know for every 100 milligrams, I have 1 milliliter. Milligrams here are going to cancel out, and I'll be left with blank milliliters. Again, I could have just done 1 over 100 milligrams, milliliters times 75 milligrams equals blank milliliters, put an L there, and got the same answer. So let's go ahead and plug this into our calculator. All right, 75 times 1 divided by 100, and we've got 0.75. 0.75. Now this is a volume. It's a milliliter, a liquid, and it's less than 1 milliliter. So we go out to the thousandths place, round to the hundredths place in this situation. If it was greater than 1, I would round this 5, or I would round this 8, since this is a 5 in the hundredths place, to an 8, from a 7 to an 8. But it's not greater than 1, or 1 or greater, so we take it out to the thousandths, round it to the hundredths place. So, all right, next up is units to milliliters. A lot of people really seem to struggle with this because units is kind of a foreign term, and especially if you've got to look at it on the actual label itself and read it. A lot of people make some mistakes with that, and I'll talk about those here in a minute. But basically, with units to milliliters, you set it up the exact same way as you would milligrams to milliliters. So the doc says, give this guy 3,500 units, and the pharmacy says, well, we've got it for every 1 mil, we've got 1,000 units in a syringe. So you're going to have to convert this from units to milliliters. So that's what we're looking to get here, is milliliters, question mark. I know for every 10,000 units, I have 1 milliliter. So basically, plug that into our calculator here. 3,500 divided by 10,000. That gives us 0.35 milliliters. My units cancel out. I'm left with my answer in milliliters. What was it again? 0.35? Yeah, 0.35 milliliters. So this is almost identical to the milligram problem, only it's with units. Where it gets tricky is when they give you one that's like this, and you've got to look at the label and read the label and figure it out that way. So this is how you decipher this. All right, doc says give this guy 7,500 units of heparin. 7,500 units. Again, we're trying to get to milliliters. Milliliters here. I know that we're trying to get to milliliters because I'm looking at it right here on the label where it says units per milliliter. On this label, this is the same thing as this right here. Alright? Whatever you do, do not get confused, and let me see if it has it on this one. Oh, it has it on this one in milliliters total. Sometimes, let me change colors for this. Sometimes this right here, this is saying that in this vial there are 10 milliliters total. Sometimes this will say like in this vial there are like 10,000 units total or something like that, but the dose is 5,000 units in ml or something along those lines. Don't get confused by that. A lot of people will make silly mistakes just by doing that. So anyway, back to the problem. We've got 7,500 units. Our conversion factor is right here. It's saying that for every 5,000 units, we have 1 milliliter. Our units cancel out. We're left with milliliters. Grab my calculator. 7,500 divided by 5,000 equals 1.5. 1.5 milliliters. On milliliters greater than 1, I go out to the hundreds, round to the tenths. It's already done so in this case. I ended with milliliters, so I'm good to go on this problem. Move down to the next one. Now we have micrograms to milligrams to milliliters. So basically, the doc, it's easy for this doctor, or maybe this drug is easily prescribed. Well, fentanyl, it's depending on what the drug is, doctors are going to want to give it to you in micrograms for whatever reason or another. I don't know it off the top of my head. But it's easier for them, so we accommodate them with that. So fentanyl here, he is ordering it at 50 micrograms IV, and you have 1 milligram per milliliter vial. So I'm eventually wanting to get to milliliters, right? That's what we're going to give an injection of. You know, you don't typically give too many injections of powder, so you almost will never have your final answer be milligrams whenever it is a injection. So just food for thought there. So we're going to start off in milligrams, or micrograms, I'm sorry. Micrograms. We're going to move to milligrams, and then we're going to move to milliliters. All right, that's my roadmap to this problem. So I have 50 micrograms. I'm going to go ahead and go from micrograms to milligrams first. I know that for every 1 milligram, I have 1,000 micrograms. All right, so checked off my roadmap there on milligrams. I'm at milligrams now. Now I need to go to milliliters. It gives me the conversion factor in the problem here for milliliters. It says for every 1 milligram, I have 1 milliliter. Important note here, all right? You're not changing your answer at all by adding this portion of the equation into it, right? Whatever this answer ends up being, if you multiply it by 1, divide it by 1, that's the same answer. However, at least at Cox College, you are required to show all of your work. So if you do not show this step, however redundant, tedious, not needed it is, if you do not show your work on this answer, you will get the question marked wrong. And the reason is kind of the ideology behind it is there's no such thing as too much information, too many checks, you can't keep it simple enough in the hospital. It's kind of the ideology behind that. A lot of the medication errors with this just come from not following protocol properly. So that's why they're so anal retentive on this. So grab our calculator here now. Start with 50 micrograms times 1 divided by 1,000 times 1 divided by 1 equals 0.5. I think it was actually 0.05, wasn't it? Yeah, 0.05 milliliters. Milligrams cancel out. Micrograms cancel out. I'm left with blank milliliters. It's less than 1, so I go out to the thousands, around to the hundreds. So that's my answer on that. All right. Next, and we're nearing the end of basic calculations here. I know you're sad about it. Next, we have grains. All right, so grains is a little archaic, if you would, but I have seen it in the hospital, and I've actually given medicine that was in grains before. So I guess it's not completely obsolete. So we need to talk about it. It'll be on the test for dosage calc as well. Going from grains to milligrams. Quick little tidbit that you should just memorize. For every 1 milligram, you're going to have 65 grains. GR for grains. Make that a better R. Can you look this up in the hospital? Yeah. Can you look it up on the dosage calc test? No. Memorize it. You never know. You may need to do a calculation like this on the fly. Who knows? Maybe you're in Haiti where you don't have an internet connection on your iPhone, and you need to give this medication, but you don't remember, what the calculation is, and neither do any of your buddies. So you can be that shining star that remembers what grains to milligrams are by watching this video, hopefully. Anyway, nonetheless, memorize it, know it for life. All right, how to do the problem. Let's say we've got, 3 milligrams, right? We want to know how many grains there are. Just like we do any other problem, we start with our given, 3 milligrams times for every 1 milligram, I have 65 grain. It's actually like 64.7 something something in reality, but we just rounded up to 65. Equals blank. My milligrams cancel out. I'm left with grains. equals blank grains. Could have just as easily set this up as 65 grains over 1 milligram. It does not matter. Times 3 milligrams equals blank grains. They're both going to give me the same answer. Grab my calculator. 3 times 65 equals 195. So I have 195 grains. And while I'm mentioning this, let me go back up here to a problem where we had 3 steps. Right here. Let me give myself some space here. Alright, so there were 3 steps in this problem, right? We started with our given, we used one conversion factor, and then we used another. Alright? It would not have made a difference if we would have set the problem up 1 over 1,000 times 50 times 1 over 1. We have the units, milliliters, milligrams, micrograms, and milliliter, and milligrams. It would not have made a difference if we set it up that way. Why? Well, because we're still organizing all of our multiplication and division the same way. This is still assumed it's over 1, so I'm still taking 1 divided by 1,000 times 50 divided by 1 times 1 divided by 1. Doesn't matter what order I put it in. All throughout the entire nursing program, with every dimensional analysis problem that you do, it does not matter how or what order you set it up in. All that matters is that your units cancel out and you're left with what you're looking for. I have milligrams right here. Milligrams is on the bottom. Milligrams is on the bottom. This should actually be micrograms. Oops, let me go put a C there. Milligrams is on the bottom. What did I do wrong on this? Oh, I put milliliters. This should be milligrams. I've got the units all messed up on this. Alright, sorry about that. Alright, so I have 1 milliliter over 1 milligram. I have 50 micrograms, not milligrams. I have 1,000 micrograms over 1 milligram, not milliliter. So again, to reiterate, it does not matter what order you do this in, as long as you have all of your units lined up. So milligrams will cancel out here, even though this is in between them. It will still cancel out just because this is on top and that is on bottom. Micrograms is on bottom here, is on top there, so I'm left with milliliters. So all that matters is that you set up your units in the right order. So I'll quit preaching that point to the ground because I think I'm beating a dead horse at this point. Last grain problem. You may see a grain problem that's like this. Tylenol, grain X, PO every 6 hours, right, for pain. Grain X just means 10. They're using a Roman numeral there for you. So you've got Tylenol, grain 10, and you're wanting to know how many milligrams they'll give. So your end answer needs to be in milligrams. So I have 10 grains times for every 1 milligram. I know I have 65 grains. So my grains are going to cancel out. I'm left with milligrams. That's what I was wanting to look for in the first place. So I've set the problem up correctly. Grab the calculator here. 10 times 1 divided by 65. Alright. So we're left with a weight problem. It's a volume, so we're going to go out to the thousandths place, round to the hundredths place. This is a 3, so it's less than 5, so I'm just going to have 0.15. 0.15 milligrams. And that's it. In the next video, we'll talk about reconstitution and military time a little bit. I think those are the only topics that I have not touched on so far for Level 1 math at Cox College. Thanks for watching. Next video coming soon.